Day continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. It was exactly a year ago when the country was first placed under a strict community quarantine. And today, quarantine protocols have become reminiscent of last year's lockdown with the reimposition of curfews and with more areas in the metro under localized quarantine. To give us more details on the ground, we have Justine Punsalang on the line. Justine, could you give us the latest?
Charles, a year after the first strict lockdown, Metro Manila will once again implement a uniform 2-week curfew from 10 in the evening until 5 in the morning. In addition to that, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno announced that more barangays in the city will be placed under granular lockdown. Last night, the lockdown in 3 barangays in Manila concluded with a total of 10 violators, all of which were from Barangay 351. Manila Police District Director Police Brigadier General Leo Francisco explained that there were no violators from Barangay 725 because of its primarily commercial nature. Residents of the 2 hotels in Barangay 699 also cooperated with authorities during the lockdown. 4 security guards from Malate Bayview Hotel, meanwhile, were charged with violation of city ordinance for not wearing face masks. However, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno said that during their contact tracing and mass testing in the 3 barangays, they found 7 asymptomatic COVID patients. The patients have already been taken to Manila City's isolation facility. But while the 3 barangays are done with the localized lockdowns, Mayor Isko announced that 6 more will be placed in a similar 4-day restriction starting on Wednesday. These are Barangay 185 in Tondon, District 2, 374 in Santa Cruz, 521 in Sampaloc, 628 in Santa Mesa, 675 in Paco, and 847 in Pandacan. Just like the previous 3 barangays, disinfection, contact tracing, and mass testing will be conducted on the 6 new areas. The Manila LGU also assured that they will be providing food packs for all affected residents. The Manila LGU also warned public that authorities will also arrest lockdown violators. These violators will temporarily be detained in covered courts of barangays before being transferred to the Tondo quarantine facility where they will stay for the rest of the lockdown, after which violators will be tested for COVID-19 before they can be released or moved to isolation facility should they test positive. While 6 police stations are gearing up for the upcoming lockdown on Wednesday, the rest of Manila Police District are preparing for the uniform curfew hours starting tonight. According to Moreno, the roads must be clear of people except for uppers or authorized persons outside of residences at the stroke of 10 p.m. Uppers include healthcare workers, police and military personnel, government employees, service workers, barangay officials, media practitioners, and those involved in delivery of essential goods. Police visibility and checkpoints will be intensified to make sure that non-essential workers are inside their homes when the curfew hours start. He also said that establishments like markets, fast food chains, and convenience stores should be closed by 10 and can only reopen at 5 a.m. He cleared, however, that delivery will be allowed even within the curfew hours. Charles, those who will be arrested for violating the curfew hours will be temporarily detained at different facilities like covered courts of each barangay in Manila. First-time offenders will be penalized by physical exercise that match their age and physical capability, while repeat offenders may be fined in relation to violating the city ordinance. Also, Mayor Isko said that liquor ban is not yet effective in Manila, but reminded that drinking in public is still prohibited. Charles?
Thanks for that. That was Justine Punsalang reporting live from Manila. An infectious disease expert believes mixed messages from different sectors of the government may have caused the recent spike in COVID-19 cases. In One News' town hall, Kumusta na ba tayo? Dr. Benjamin Ko said some calls from different sectors to reopen the economy are not aligned with the country's COVID-19 data. Ko said these numbers could be used to gauge the needed recalibrations for lockdown measures, but he noted that low COVID-19 numbers do not scientifically warrant the reopening of parts of the economy. Meanwhile, Dr. Anna Ong Lim of the DOH Technical Working Group dismissed claims that variants are not directly causing the recent spike in cases.
Ang daming kailangan gawin. I think the challenge is we need to move double time because even as we say that the variants are not making up a significant proportion of what we're isolating, This feels like it's moving faster. And I think we can't afford to not think of the worst case scenario.
I understand actually from an economic standpoint that there really should be a recalibration of how to utilize the lockdowns and the lockdown measures so that we find a balance between the economy and health. But there really is no science that tells you, okay, when the numbers are this low, then it's okay to go ahead and open which part of the economy.
The government is looking to inoculate half of the population before the year ends. NTF Deputy Chief Implementer Vince Dizon says the government is planning to finish vaccinating priority groups like health workers and other vulnerable sectors. The goal is to start the rollout of vaccines to the general population by the second half of the year.
Ang target po na sinabi ni Secretary Galvez ay at least 50% ng populasyon natin ay mabakunahan na natin by the end of 2021. So mga 50 million Filipinos po yun. And sinabi naman po ng mga health experts natin na ang herd immunity ay magkikick in at the 65% level of the population. So,
on the other hand, Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship and Go Negosyo founder Joey Concepcion says the private sector remains committed in its initiative to augment the government's vaccine supply.
Nowhere in the world does the private sector in any country in the world buys the vaccines and pays for it, and even will pay for the logistics and implementation. In the Philippines, we are taking that big road despite many companies not being able to afford it. But we are going to do it because together as one, public, private, and even the LGUs, if we all come together and bring these vaccines, convince our citizens to take the vaccine, because we can bring all the vaccines, but if our citizens will not have the confidence to take the vaccines, then we're not going to win the war.
Some of AstraZeneca's data is, quote, a little head-scratching, according to a Johns Hopkins professor. And he also supports the decision of some countries to pause the rollout of the British vaccine. More on this on Bloomberg Television. Let's listen in.
When you look at AstraZeneca and all of the media out there, a lot of also countries saying that actually for the moment they've suspended using the vaccine. Why are they getting such a bad reputation?
Yeah, some of the data coming from the AstraZeneca it's a little head scratching. Certainly, I think from a positive standpoint, it shows that vaccine safety is still a high priority across many countries, and monitoring for these kind of adverse effects is still very much on people's minds and governments' minds. So a pause to make sure that some of these adverse events are not associated with the vaccine or are associated with vaccine is good, especially in a time when we know vaccine supply is the problem and countries are really working towards getting more vaccines. So I think this is a pause. I think we'll probably see in a week or two the vaccination campaign come back into place. But again, I would view this as a good thing. We're monitoring vaccine safety. We're not just rolling out the vaccine haphazardly. We're really paying attention to what's going on in the population and looking for these adverse effects that may only come out when we're vaccinating millions of people.
Is it too soon to tell the people that have been inoculated what they can do? What does the CDC guidelines actually tell us? Can people, go back to work easier? Can they travel? What's your take overall on this?
Yeah, I think we'll see over the next few weeks a gradual rolling out of additional guidelines for people who are vaccinated. At least here in the U.S. and in many countries, the vaccination campaign has really been limited to people who are in high-risk groups, healthcare workers, the elderly, people with pre-existing medical conditions. So the guidance from the CDC is really focused on some of those populations and what they can do. As we roll into the mass vaccination campaign, we're going to start to see more and more information on what regular people can do, going back to work, being able to congregate. I think President Biden mentioned a few things that are very important in terms of, goals for sort of early summer, midsummer, as a time when we really are going to start to see changes in how we act on a population-wide basis.
More countries are halting the use of AstraZeneca shots following reports of formation of blood clots in some vaccine recipients. Ireland has temporarily suspended vaccinations using the British shot out of, quote, an abundance of caution. This was recommended by the country's immunization committee as they await more information on the matter from European regulators in the coming days. At least 10 other countries in Europe have also suspended the use of AstraZeneca. Following EU countries, the Democratic Republic of Congo has also delayed the rollout of AstraZeneca. Congo has received 1.7 million doses of the Oxford vaccines from the COVAX facility. Thailand has also delayed the rollout of AstraZeneca vaccines due to these reported adverse effects. The Thai Prime Minister and cabinet members were supposed to receive the shots, but the country's health ministry has advised to temporarily halt the use of AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca, meanwhile, insists that it found no evidence of increased blood clot risk from its vaccines. The vaccine maker says it did a careful review of data from more than 17 million people who received the AstraZeneca shot and found no conclusive link to an increased risk in blood clots. Peter English, a retired British government consultant in communicable disease control, says it's regrettable how some countries stop vaccination on such precautionary grounds. The European Medicines Agency has also said that there is no indication that the unusual side effects were caused by the vaccination, and this view was echoed by the World Health Organization on Friday. Harry Styles, Thee Stallion, Beyonce, and Kanye West are among the early winners in this year's Grammys. The awards night is still underway after opening with Harry Styles performing his single Watermelon Sugar High, which went on to win Best Pop Solo Performance. He bested some gargantuan contenders such as Taylor Swift and BTS, who also had performances lined up for the 63rd Grammys. Thee Stallion won Best New Artist, while Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande took home the Best Pop Duo or Group Performance for Rain On Me. Meanwhile, Kanye won Best Contemporary Christian Music Album for Jesus is King. The award for Best Music Video went to Queen Bee for Brown Skin Girl. For Signal subscribers, you can still catch the rest of the Grammys via Fox Life Asia at Signal channels 124 and 232, as well as on Colors channels 60 and 202. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.